My apologies. I hit a button uh, on accident. So, well, welcome to the Inspired Livestream. Now that you've watched me move my lips without sound for a while, my name is Jean Nolan. This is my wonderful wife, Kristin Nolan, the wise voice to the side of the camera. And we're excited that you're all here on this beautiful Thursday, January 20th, 2022, when we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, and we're free. This is an important live stream. It's been in our minds, and we've talked about this, and it's been in the sphere for a few days now, and we're excited that we get to share this with you. We believe a timely message. Also, before we dive into it, and before I welcome you all and look through the live chat here, I want to remind you to please subscribe to our Rumble channel as well. I logged off a little earlier with Gareth Ike, David Ike's son. It was a very cool interview that we did today. Very, very nice. Had a very inspired conversation. And as you might imagine, only portions of it can be on YouTube, but the whole thing will be on Rumble tomorrow. So please click on the link in the live chat once we log off here and go subscribe to our Rumble channel. It's where everything is unedited, uncensored, and the way it is actually supposed to be. So let me welcome you all here. As I said, I saw Stuart earlier, Sam, Lee, hey, Moments Divine, Martina, Darla, Mick, Nadine, good to see you. Klaus is here. Very good to see you. Son of Tor. Who else is here? Aki or Ake. Roland is here. Who else? I see Hammond is here. Good to see you, Rosa, Sheila. Then we have Tina, Niels, the Graham. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Tessa is here. Willow, Natalie. Who else? Let me see. Scrolling down here. H is here from the Netherlands. Esther is here. Andrew, Nicole, Tina, Tuna. Camilla, Nicole, Jeff, welcome everyone. So good to see you. So thank you for tuning in. Regine is here. One love. Thank you all for being here. So without further ado, we have started on this journey, not just with the channel, but with the live streams, really for one particular reason. That's now almost 2 years ago. It's going to be 2 years in March that we're doing this. And the reason was to offer empowerment. And what is empowerment? Empowerment is something that comes from within. When people say you can be empowered by someone else, truly, that's not correct. Someone might inspire you, someone might share tools with you, show you something, but you are the one out of whom the power comes. That's the empowerment. And that was our intention from the get-go. And there's a reason why this is so important, especially when something so out of the ordinary and so unprecedented is happening as we've been experiencing for the past 2 years. Because on the lowest scale of vibration in this empowerment sphere is hope. Now, hope's the lowest of these positive vibrations, but it is important. But what has emerged over the past 2 years, over and over and over and over again, is not hope, but hopium. And that's a whole different thing. Hopium is like an addictive drug that comes from other people constantly projecting solutions that are outside of you. Someone will save you. Someone will provide a solution. Someone will end this. Someone will fight for us. Someone will solve this for us. And this constant hopium, it has driven people to super heights because they feel the rush, and tomorrow it's going to happen, and everyone's going to be arrested, and then everyone's going to be tried, and that's going to be over. And this hopium is a very, very addictive thing, and it's also a very, very destructive thing. And we will go back in history a little bit to realize how things have repeated over time, but more importantly, so we can land at the real solution, because there is a solution for the dilemma that almost the whole world finds itself in right now. And I just want to give you a little bit of this is not about dwelling on any of the horrific things that are going on. Not at all. It's always solution oriented. What is it that we can do? We, not someone out there. I'm going to tell you Austria today, where Christine and I grew up, which we used to call home, where our children were born, where a lot of our friends and family are, has now joined the ranks of fascist, illegitimate regimes. They've passed a law today that mandates an experimental gene therapy, which is absolutely horrific, but that's happened today. Now, I know that the people that have not given in until this point, they will not give in to this either. And they're going to do whatever it takes. And I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm proud of those people. I stand with those people. We stand with them, and we'll do everything in our power to empower those people uh, to stand strong, not give in an inch to the fascists, to the illegitimate fascists. Number one. Number two, and I could go on through a long list, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the W2TF moments here. New Zealand has seen such a rise in suicides that um, and only bureaucrats can come up with something like that. I mean, you have to be so disconnected from everything to even come up with such an idea. But what we've seen over the past 2 years, reclassifying things and renaming things and redefining definitions, it's become a new trend. The New Zealand government has seen such a rise in suicides that their solution is to reclassify suicides to accidental deaths. So they're not suicides anymore, they're accidental deaths. So you're now going to see a rise in accidental deaths, and you're going to see a complete decline in suicides. Problem solved, right? I mean, this is this is what governments, they're not even governments, this is what these brainless brainless entities come up with. Okay, so that's what they're doing. This it's become so bad that paramedics have come out and said, "Hey, this was my fourth hanging that I've come to today in one day." That's how bad it has gotten. But now they're accidental deaths, and it's all good, and New Zealand can carry on with their fascist agenda. Okay, last one from this before we dive into history, why it is important, and how we're going to get to today, and how we're going to finally solve this, because we can. I want to say this now, and I want to go on a record. We can solve this today. You might have heard this, but France's dictator, their little fascist dictator, uh, Macron, has come out and said, and that was a couple days ago, and it said he wants to piss off the unvaccinated to the bitter end, uh, and called them non-citizens. Well, that is very presidential. That's a great guy. Well, awesome guy. Thankfully, the people of France, um, because the people of France are known, they're kind of on the sidelines for a while, but when they start, whew, you better not get in their way. When they start, when they've had enough, then they take to the streets and they let it be heard and shown. So that's what they're doing, and rightfully so. But there's a reason, and we've talked about this and we've come at this from multiple angles. But there's a reason why we are in this situation. And finally, thankfully, millions and millions are seeing this. Okay. Let's rewind the clock 20 years ago. 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago now, we have seen the beginning of what is now fully unfolding. It started way earlier than that, but that was the final phase of this takeover, started with 9/11. And a little bit of a reminder of what 9/11 really was, the operation, what it entailed, and more importantly, what it triggered, because that's really what this was about. Uh, in late 1999, early 2000, somewhere around that, there was a think tank in DC, called the Project for the New American Century, and the people that were in that think tank and that signed the documents that they put out, were later in the Bush administration, a lot of them. I think Wolfowitz was in there, and Rumsfeld was in there, and I believe Cheney was in there. People that were later in the administration, and they basically, in this project for the new American century, they laid out a plan for the next 8 to 10 years, and how they were wanting to um, invade, I think, 7 or 8 Middle Eastern countries. You know, the kind of the notorious list of Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan, and I think Kuwait and Lebanon and whatnot, and the list of companies, and Syria, of countries. And in this document, they basically laid out what the strategic geopolitical importance was of doing this, but how it was going to take America, or this interest group, decades to roll out this new plan, unless there would be a new Pearl Harbor like event. Because with a new Pearl Harbor like event, they could get support from the public right away to start with these wars. And what did we have on 9/11? And it's been called that over and over again. We had a Pearl Harbor style event, right? A massive, major attack on American soil in the heart of New York City. The most horrendous thing you could possibly imagine happened. But for those who haven't lived under a rock and haven't completely shut out their senses and their common sense, they know that what we have been told about this day was a fabricated story from start to beginning. And I believe I can say this with some authority, as I have spent years doing real research into this. It's completely fabricated. It starts with flight logs, with people that are supposed to be dead but aren't dead. There is such a tremendous, with NORAD standing down on that thing. I mean, I could sit here for hours and hours and hours and walk you through the nitty gritty of controlled explosions, of politicians slipping on camera, saying how they ordered the shooting down of planes, and others who how they ordered for buildings to be pulled, which means, everyone knows this. That means to detonate, to have a controlled detonation and demolition of a building. All of those things. I mean, the story goes on and on and on and on and on. Again, I could sit here for days and walk you through the details. This has more holes than a Swiss cheese, and and just like with every major large scale event in history, all the evidence started to come out, irrefutable evidence. Experts started to come out. I had so many deja vus over the past 2 years when I compared this to 9/11. But as horrific as the event on September 11th, 2001 itself was, and as horrendous the consequences were for those involved and for the first responders and for the families and all the aftermath, it was a trigger for a large scale societal transformation on a global level. Because what happened in the months was, first of all, war started, right? Wars that involved not just the countries that started the war and the countries that were attacked, it involved the whole world in one way or another. Alliances were built, laws and restrictions were passed and put on the people. Because I'm telling you something, I'm old enough to remember that we didn't used to be treated like criminals in order to get on a plane. It didn't used to be that you were pushed around like cattle and treated like a criminal, and having your thumbs and your iris scanned and searched and patted down and radiated and all the crap that we see today. It didn't used to be like that. It's very simple. You could walk to the runway and pick up someone from a plane. That's how it used to be. Flying used to be a beautiful, fun experience, used to be something wonderful, something you were looking forward to, not just the destination, the flying itself. But all these laws were passed in the name of protecting the people, because terrorism was this huge thing now, and because the world needed to be scared. And what the world should have done then and there, when all the evidence started to come out, and there was and is so much ample evidence, experts in all fields that came out and clearly said this story doesn't add up one bit, it was completely different. The whole world was fooled. And we were just standing there watching and letting it all happen. And I've had so many deja vus because for the past 2 years, yes, people are opposing it. Yes, people are not complying. Yes, people are somewhat standing up, but it is nonetheless still moving forward. Same Swiss cheese, same story with a gazillion holes that does not add up. And the solution back then, and if you think about it, that all the people that were in power, positions of power back then, that had something to say, that were in governments, administrations, politics, none of them was ever convicted of the crimes that they committed against humanity, because the crimes against humanity didn't just take place on that day. They continued to take place over the years, because in the name of these new laws, and in the name of security, and in the name of war on terrorism, every possible way of controlling and subjugating the population was implemented. We have now a very, very much China style society. If you really look at it, all the surveillance is in place, and the only way it could come into place was all through these draconian laws that were passed all over the place, that are unconstitutional in any country, especially in this country. And all of this happened, and we allowed for all of this to happen. And what would have been the solution is the same solution that we need now, but we don't need it on a local level, we don't need it just on a state level. We need it on a global level. And people, this is not about fighting a war. This is not about violence. This is not about aggression. It's a very simple thing that we need to do. We need to finally withdraw our energy from this anti-human, from this top-down, draconian, dictatorial system that has enslaved the minds, the hearts, and the bodies of humanity for such a long time. People are cooking in it like frogs in this water. They don't even realize they're in boiling water. And we need to withdraw our energy and stop feeding it with anything, not our life force, not our workforce, not our monetary force, nothing. Withdraw our energy, because the only way this system can survive and keep doing what it does, or transforming into an even more horrendous system, is if we keep supporting it. And I hear the voices. People are saying to me, well, what are we going to do? We don't have a new system yet. We need to come up with a new system first. Well, first of all, there's a gazillion ideas out there, and some of them are pretty good, and some of them are already being implemented. But that aside, what you're saying is basically, imagine, and unfortunately, we don't even have to imagine, it's a daily situation for many people, a woman that is being abused and beaten by her husband every single day. And when she finally's had enough and said, I'm going to leave, you tell her, no, you can't leave, because you don't have anywhere to go yet. You just better stay there until you find a place to go. No, you get the hell out of there. You stop complying and stop cooperating with your abuser. Stop cooperating with the aggressor. Stop putting yourself in that position. That's the first step we need to do. And to realize that the aggressor is nothing without our participation. That these regimes and these wannabe dictators have no power if we don't comply and participate. We just have to withdraw the energy and stop playing along, and stop putting our hopium, this mind drug, into someone out there, into people that are somewhere out there that are going to fix things for us. Some judge is going to rule on that, and he's going to do the right thing, or she's going to do the right thing, or a Supreme Court's going to do the right thing, or maybe the next president, or the next Senate, or the next parliament, or the next prime minister, or the next. Someone is going to come and save us. No, we are the ones we have been waiting for. And year after year, decade after decade, we are complying and waiting. You know, every now and then we go out and protest a little. Every now and then we go, no, 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 we shouldn't really shouldn't do that. But we have, because we are in it, we have lost the ability to see how crazy all of this has gotten, how absolutely crazy all of this has gotten. And we need to pull the plug. But no one can do this for us. No one can do this for you. No one can pull the plug for you. We have to withdraw our energy. What would you do if you were in a physically abusive situation? Do you wait and see if it gets worse? If maybe in the end you're going to get killed? Would you say to someone, hey, just sit it out? It might get better. If you put your head down, if you comply, maybe they're not going to hit you as hard next time. Maybe they're just going to hit you a little. What are we doing, people? What are we doing? How much longer are we going to do this? It's now gotten to our children, to the youngest, to the innocent, most vulnerable in our society, the ones that require, they are entitled to our protection. And they are now taking the most vulnerable, innocent, beautiful beings, and they're basically taking ownership, saying we're going to do whatever we want to do. We're going to impose our will upon all of you. And we're sitting here and we're putting our hopium, we're putting out this hopium. And most people are doing that. And they're saying, this guy, no, this lady, she's going to be the one. She's going to save us. Well, bullshit. No one's going to come to save you. In the history of humanity, no one has come to save you. And I know you're going to say Jesus came to save us. What Jesus came to teach you and me and everyone how to save ourselves. That's what Jesus came to do, what Krishna came to do, what Anastasia came to do, what the sages and saints of the times came to do, to remind us that we have this consciousness, this possibility, this potential in ourselves. We've been saying this over and over and over and over and over again. The only reason why we started this and why we are not chilling out on a beautiful piece of land, watching the stream go down, and maybe riding our horses through the prairie or the woods, is because we care, is because we cannot stand by and sit by and just watch this whole show and this whole thing go down the drain, knowing that we could have done something. And we can. And we have this momentum now, because believe me, 5 years ago, you could not have done this because people weren't pressured enough. They were not pushed enough. They weren't the momentum for them, the negative momentum wasn't big enough. And unfortunately, most people only change when shit hits the fan. Well, shit hit the fan big time. And I don't know what else it's going to take for us to collectively withdraw the energy. Stop putting your attention there. Stop looking to some people in government or in some agency or some organization, 3-letter or 4-letter organization, that they're going to be the ones. No, this has always been the only way out. The only way to unplug from this matrix is to actually unplug, and you have to do it yourself. And you have to have the guts to do it, the courage to do it. This system is relentless. It does not care about human beings. It does not care about you, your children, your pain, your life, your love, your dreams, your desires, your visions. It cares not the tiniest bit about that. None whatsoever. It does not. It is designed to crush this. And rather than wanting to change this so badly, and change we need to first unplug ourselves from this destructive, dystopian, totalitarian, soul crushing, human annihilating system. And that's the first thing we need to do. It is the greatest sigh of relief because you finally realize that's not who you were meant to be in the first place, anyways. Because you need to make yourself so small to fit in. You need to put yourself in such a small box to comply with all the anti-human things that it requires of you. And I'm not even talking about the current draconian situation. I'm talking about how this system is set up in general. It was a horrible system to begin with. It wasn't good before. But before, it gave you enough freedom to navigate it. And if you were open enough to even circumvent it in some ways. Now that time's pretty much over. And so the decision that we have to make now is the decision that we didn't take it 20 years ago. And maybe, just maybe, the same generation that didn't make that decision 20 years ago is now ready to take these steps and pull the plug. We owe it. It's a beautiful thing that I keep hearing. We owe it to actually two sides of time. We owe it to those who came before us, who in their time did their part to make some things for us or level the path for us or make some things easier, that maybe even made sacrifices in the past. But we owe it even more than that to the ones that are to come, to the children and grandchildren and grandchildren and the generations to come. I will not, until my last breath, I will not allow myself to participate and cooperate with the enslavement of humanity and the enslavement of the unborn, of the future generations. I will, until my last breath, until my dying day on this earth, stand up for freedom, and I will do whatever it takes, and I will be there every single step of the way. And for those of you who are watching and listening, you believe that you can ever put this fire down, that you can ever stop what this momentum here is. You can never. You can never. You have absolutely no power over what this is. You don't even grasp what this is. So just come, just walk through the door, show yourself, whoever you are, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I don't fear you. We do not fear you. You mean nothing to us. Nothing. You're nothing to us. So you can try and come, and what will happen to you is what was always destined to happen to you. You will dissolve. You in this eternal darkness, in this evil darkness, you will just dissolve into nothingness. There's no place here for you. In other news, my wife is smiling at me. Well, hashtag rant over. Inspired Tribe. For those of you who've been with us for a while, you know this happens from time to time. And from time to time, the fire needs to be shown. But this is more than just rhetoric. It's more than just words. This is more than just coming on here and talking a little bit and then, going back to something else. No, this is who we are. This is what we have lived. I mean, not that we are required in any way to do that, but we have the stories to prove it. This is not something that started 2 years ago for us. This has been our life. And this will continue to be our life. Because this is why we came here, what we came here for. And we know that there is a future that will make this look like a bad dream, what we're seeing now. There's a future that is beautiful and bright, and it is free of this battling and free of this warring and free of this back and forth and free of this power struggle. It truly is. And the reason why I know and we know that this future exists is because there is a past that exists and that reflects that. There already was a time that we can model our future after. And it's going to be so beautiful. The fog will be lifted and the true sun will shine. And if you think a blue sky is pretty now, my God, the real blue sky and the real sun and the real green of the grass and the real sound of the stream and the real waves of the oceans and the real laughter of children and the real love of the heart. It is so eternally beautiful, and it is in our future. It is in our future, but we cannot have it both. We cannot stay what we're in right now and move into what we desire so deeply. So we have to withdraw our energy, and it shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard to walk away from the aggressor and the abuser and let them stand there. There are so few. They're such a tiny number. They're outnumbered by billions. Come on now. Inspired Tribe, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us today. This was the last live stream for the week. Please do go to our Rumble channel. The link is up there. Tomorrow morning, we'll release our newest interview with Gareth Ike, David Icke's son. It's a very, very inspired conversation. And as always, there's going to be a YouTube version and there is going to be the unedited Rumble version. And you're welcome to watch both. Share it with your friends, with your family. Gareth is a great guy. And we're just thankful to be in good company with all of you and all of this amazing community around the world. And we have full 100% faith in you, Inspired Tribe. We will be here again on Monday, 2 p.m. Central, right here on the Inspired channel. We'll go on another journey. We'll peel another onion. And we will arrive at another clear knowing that we are the ones we have been waiting for. And that you are the one you have been waiting for. So please hit the like button on the way out. And we'll see you on Monday, 2 p.m. Central, right here on the Inspired channel.